Hello and thank you for joining us on the news on NTA International, reaching you live from Abuja. I am Ruth Aguele. Let's begin with the headlines. President Buhari observes Jum'at prayer in Mecca ahead of the summit of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, OIC. Hungary and NTA set agenda for partnership in sports and entertainment. And Nigeria marks World No Tobacco Day with the theme Tobacco and Lung Health. And now the news and details. Ahead of the summit of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, President Muhammadu Buhari Friday afternoon observed Jum'at prayer at the Grand Mosque in Mecca with other heads of state and government already in the Holy City for the conference. The 14th session of the summit conference of the OIC, hosted by custodian of the two holy mosques, King Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, will commence at midnight. Immediately he arrived the country, President Buhari returned to the Grand Kaaba in the holy city Mecca, not only to intercede for Nigeria, but also seek divine guidance in the execution of his mandate for a secured, peaceful, united and prosperous Nigeria. State House correspondent Adam Musambo has the details.
Although President Muhammadu Buhari is in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for the summit of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, with the holy city of Mecca as the venue and the Grand Kaaba just nearby, maximum benefits of the visit must be derived for both personal and greater national interest. President Buhari is here to once again perform the Lesser Hajj, an act of great significance for the sake of Allah and therefore highly pleasing to him. Consequently, sins are not only forgiven here, but all prayer requests are considered granted. For the Nigerian leader, still basking in the euphoria of his inauguration for another term of office, it is one opportunity that cannot be misused. Therefore, apart from Tawaf or circumambulation of Kaaba, the president, accompanied by, amongst others, the governors of Jigawa, Niger and Osun states, also performed Sa'i between the mountains of Safa and Marwa. He walked and indeed run where necessary in compliance with the Islamic injunctions, during which intermittent prayers were offered to Allah for the nation and its present leadership.
Throughout the Lesser Hajj, President was busy praying for Nigeria bit by bit from each stage to another for Almighty Allah's intervention to intervene in our country and make it much easier for him to take the country to the next level.
So how significant is the President's prayer for Nigeria?
It's very important because of the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given him that responsibility. Because of that responsibility, when he prays, there is high probability that his prayer will be accepted. And among the prayers that are accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the prayer of a righteous and just leader.
This is the second time in less than 3 weeks President Muhammadu Buhari is performing the Lesser Hajj, but not the three governors on his entourage. So what have been their prayers to Allah at this point in time?
It's prayer for peace for the entire country and prosperity. We are aware of the economic challenges, and we pray very hard for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help the country, bring in peace, bring prosperity, and eradicate poverty in the land.
I prayed for our President Muhammadu Buhari, for Allah to give him the strength to rule Nigeria properly in the right direction. I prayed for Nigeria as a whole, for peace, in view of the present security challenges facing us. And inshallah, we're very hopeful that Allah will answer our prayers. We'll continue to pray hard to have a peaceful environment, because without peace and security, virtually all other sectors of development will not function.
I congratulate Mr. President for taking it as a matter of duty to come and say Alhamdulillah to God after the swearing. My prayer is that by the grace of Almighty God, our president will do better than what he did the first time. Challenges are there in the country, particularly in the area of security, but Allah will see us through. We want peace in Nigeria, we want prosperity in Nigeria, and I believe with this, the start of this tenure, with God be on our side, the president will do very well.
The Lesser Hajj is the first major undertaking by President Muhammadu Buhari on the margins of the OIC summit in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. From Makkah, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Still staying on the foreign scene, let's get all the stories from around the globe with Joyce Ometu.
The European Union has announced the donation of 30 million euros to support ongoing efforts to help the most vulnerable people in South Sudan. The funding, the European Union says, comes as part of the Commission's 7 adopted new programs and additional funds for the Horn of Africa. It further indicates the new funds for South Sudan are for increased access to primary and secondary education for children in remote areas and access to health services. Now away from Africa, U.S. President Donald Trump has announced tariffs on all goods coming from Mexico, demanding the country curb illegal migration into the U.S. In a tweet, Mr. Trump said that from June 10th, a 5% tariff will be imposed and would slowly rise until the illegal migration problem is remedied. He said it was necessary in order to tackle what he called crisis at the U.S. southern border. In the meantime, Louisiana's Democratic governor has signed a highly restrictive new abortion law that bans the procedure after a fetal heartbeat is detected. State legislators backed the bill Wednesday by 79 votes to 23, and Governor John Bell Edwards signed the bill into law on Thursday. 4 other states have passed similar limits to abortion this year. Joyce Ometu, NTA News.
And back home, Hungary government and the Nigerian Television Authority have set agenda for partnership in areas of sports and entertainment. Now, this is part of discussions between the Hungarian ambassador to Nigeria and the Director General of the NTA. Rachel Shaibu has details.
The history of diplomatic relations between Nigeria and the Republic of Hungary goes back to 1964, when formal diplomatic relations were established. The Republic of Hungary has Memorandum of Understanding with Nigeria on economic and technical development.
I think very good. Together they can do a good.
Now the Republic of Hungary wants to further ties in sports and culture, and to actualize this, the ambassador, Sándor Bech, told his host that his country will be cooperating with both Nigerian and European clubs on the field of sports.
The other big project will be a gospel festival, actually a cure festival, which could be improved in various fields, but we would like to do this together with the TV, if it is possible, in a form of a contest.
In Africa, it started in Nigeria, so it is only...
The Director General of the NTA, Yakubu Ibn Muhammad, says the authority has maintained the lead in television broadcasting and is willing to collaborate with the Hungarian government.
If there is a cultural agreement between Nigeria and any other country, it is the responsibility of the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture, to take care of things. And NTA being part and parcel of that ministry is by implication part and parcel of the implementation of that agreement.
With a population of over 9 million people, the country's economy is considered 64th freest in the 2019 index and is rich in culture and sports. In Abuja, Rachel Shaibu, NTA News.
And now 2 clerics have been rewarded for adhering to divine directives to protect lives irrespective of the faith or race. Let's join Mamsoor Demian Dati for details.
Stayed there for about 5 days, those who ran into the mosque, because they wanted to continue to protect them. They didn't want them exposed. The Muslims had to pray outside the mosque so that those in the mosque can continue to have the protection.
The story of Imam Abdullahi Abubakar, who took great risks to save the lives of hundreds of Christians, when gunmen invaded their village in Plateau State, hunting for people from that faith to kill, came to many as surprise due to the long history of sectarian crisis in that state.
Is a lesson not just for Nigeria, but for all mankind. One family, one race, one love. Thank you.
The heroic act of love and sacrifice exhibited by the Imam and his deputy has not gone unnoticed as they continue to be acknowledged, with letters coming from the United States Embassy in Abuja.
It's the ambassador's first ever Ambassador's Peacemaker Award for Heroism. Imam Abdullahi Abubakar, in recognition of your extraordinary bravery, putting your faith into action on June 23rd, 2018. That day, you saved the lives of hundreds of your Christian neighbors in Yar Village, Barkanladi, Plateau State.
NTA News.
Well deserving indeed. And now on legislature, the Speaker, House of Representatives, Yakubu Dogara, has appealed for closer partnership between Nigeria and other nations for the development of potentials. He said this while hosting some members of the Korean National Assembly led by their Deputy Speaker, Mr. Lee Ju-yang, in company of Korean Ambassador to Nigeria, Mr. Lee In-tai. Yakubu Dogara mentioned sectors which Nigeria has huge potentials, such as agriculture, solid minerals and tourism, when fully exploited, could be mutually beneficial in addition to investments in the oil sector.
What the conventional diplomacy cannot resolve, maybe parliamentary diplomacy can do so. So that is our commitment.
Deputy Speaker of the Republic of Korea, Mr. Ju-yang, disclosed his country's interest in promoting economic growth in Nigeria.
생각되는데 한국을 방문해 주시기를 기대하는 바입니다.
Mr. Speaker, I understand that you, as a very young leader of Nigeria, and I believe you will have a great role in leading the future of Nigeria.
He suggested consolidation of relationship between Nigeria and Korea parliaments. We're going to break now. The news continues shortly. Do stay with us.
One football confederation, 24 teams, 6 stadiums, 4 cities, 504 African stars, 1 trophy. The Africa Cup of Nations Egypt 2019 comes alive from June 21 with the showpiece final on July 19, 2019. Watch the 52 matches of the tournament live on Africa's biggest and largest television network, NTA, in partnership with Hot Sports. Be part of the biggest soccer fiesta in the African continent as the Super Eagles go on a bold mission to clinch the prestigious title for the 4th time, to the excitement of millions of fans across the length and breadth of Nigeria. For inquiries, please contact Abubakar on 0803-331-0175 and Felix on 0803-308-2375. NTA, you can't beat the rich.
Thank you for staying tuned. Now, the Federal Ministry of Health and other stakeholders in the health sector say parents and rehabilitation facilities must pay critical attention to the habits of their wards and patients, as the faulters of the National Tobacco Control Regulations will henceforth be prosecuted. This was the message of the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Health, Alhaji Abdulaziz Mashi Abdullahi, to Nigerians as the world celebrates No Tobacco Day. Elizabeth Omori reports.
This young star is Shana Wale. He picked up a smoking habit at a very young age, but was lucky to get help to overcome it. Not many are lucky.
Some feel that if they have been under pressure or be stressful, they decide to embark on smoking.
As they grow older or their lungs is being affected, you see they begin to smoke so badly, and I could see regrets in them. You know, as a psychologist, each time you see them cough, very strong cough, it affects, and they lose their weight.
And so, millions still engage in this dangerous habit that not only affects them, but also others who perceive such smoke. A World Health Organization report shows that tobacco smoking is responsible for the deaths of about 600,000 people annually, a development that makes the world to choose this day to enlighten the populace on the dangers of tobacco smoking. Like in many countries, Nigeria also has national tobacco control regulations prohibiting smoking in public places.
Sale or offer of sale or distribution of tobacco or tobacco products through mail, internet or other online devices is also prohibited. Owner or manager who permits or encourages fails to stop smoking.
Non-communicable diseases at the World Health Organization, Dr. Mary Dewan now joins us in the studio to talk more on tobacco smoking and implication on human health. Welcome to NTA International News, Mrs. Dewan.
Thank you.
You know, it beats my imagination, but you're the experts who tell us, why do you think people smoke in spite of the fact that they have been forewarned?
Okay. So people still use tobacco products because of several reasons. Some might be to look cool, some due to peer pressure. But then tobacco contains a natural addictive known as nicotine. Nicotine is highly addictive and is as addictive as cocaine or heroin. So people who take that, who take tobacco products become very addictive to using them.
So what informed this year's theme, tobacco and lung health?
From the WHO estimates, from the more than 1 billion people who use tobacco products, about 3 million are affected by tobacco-related lung diseases, and these include lung cancers, chronic obstructive pulmonary diseases, tuberculosis, and asthma. So this is a very huge number of people that are affected by that.
Now, apart from its adverse effects on the lungs, what other health implications of tobacco smoking are likely to be there?
Okay. Tobacco is the single most important risk factor for 4 of the major non-communicable diseases, and these include cardiovascular diseases, diabetes, cancers, and chronic obstructive pulmonary diseases. With reduction in tobacco use, we'll see a reduction in these non-communicable diseases. And just so we know, non-communicable diseases are now the #1 killer in the world, and so we have to put in a lot of prevention strategies in place, especially for tobacco, to bring these numbers down.
So how much awareness, is the WHO doing to enlighten the public, especially smokers?
Okay. We primarily support the Federal Ministry of Health, and from the National Tobacco Act 2015, which has recently been empowered by the passage of the 2018 National Tobacco Regulations. In the days to come, you'll see a lot of implementation activities being put in place, from raising awareness, from the hotel to the entertainers, and all the different categories of people that we know might inadvertently promote or advertise the use of these tobacco products.
So what would be your advice on a final notes for people who smoke and those who do not but are having intention to start, especially the younger ones?
For those who do not smoke, my advice is do not start smoking, because it's a bit difficult to quit when you start. And for those that smoke and want to quit, there are the WHO is supporting the ministry to do a pilot on cessation services, and in a short while we'll do a nationwide scale-up to offer cessation services for people who smoke.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mary Dewan. Thank you. It was nice having you here on the program.
Thank you.
All right, now, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission has arraigned 3 officials of the Joint Admission and Matriculation Board from Benue and Plateau states before the Federal Territory High Court sitting in Maitama for alleged criminal breach of trust and corruption. Among the three is Philomena Chieshe, who alleged that a snake swallowed the sum of 33 million naira in Makurdi, Benue State Zonal Office. The two officials from Benue State are standing trial on 8-count charge, while the other officer from Plateau State is standing trial on 4-count charge for their refusal to inform relevant authorities the financial status of JAMB e-card sales supplied to both states between 2014 and 2016. The three officials pleaded not guilty to all the counts. Consequently, the prosecution counsel applied for trial dates and that they should be remanded in prison custody. This was objected by the defendants' counsel and informed the court that they have already submitted bail applications. The presiding judge, Justice Peter Afen, remanded the defendants in the EFCC custody pending the outcome of their motion on bail is heard and determined on the 3rd of June. Let's now join Musa Baba Aliyu for news from the financial sector.
The federal government has approved the second and final tranche of 22.6 billion naira to pay the pension and gratuities of ex-workers of defunct Nigerian Airways. The former Minister of Finance, Zainab Ahmad, recently secured the approval of President Muhammadu Buhari for the release and subsequently payment of the outstanding 50% entitlements. It would be recalled that about 6,000 senior citizens were penciled to receive payment of salary arrears covering about 5 years and 50% pay rise on account of the national carrier that was liquidated in 2004. The federal government is encouraging South African government to invest in Nigeria's gas sector, which it said it's currently worth $50 billion. This was at the Nigeria-South Africa Chambers of Commerce meeting. Director, Department of Petroleum Resources, said the action was ignited by the conviction that there is prospect for gas in Nigeria beyond its shores. He noted that such investment prospects abound in the development of upstream gas fields with a total of 37.4 trillion cubic feet, Trans-Nigeria Gas Pipeline Project.
Thank you, Musa. Now, the National Youth Service Corps says it will henceforth include the date of birth of Corps members on the Certificate of National Service. Director General of the NYSC, Brigadier General Shuaibu Ibrahim, stated this while responding to questions on the outcome of the 3-day workshop with stakeholders in Abuja. Olainka Ojo reports.
During the 2019 NYSC Badbi Pre-Mobilization Workshop with stakeholders, the issues of mobilization of unqualified graduates by corps-producing institutions and that of disparity in the date of birth of prospective corps members took the front burner. At the end of the meeting, stakeholders unanimously agreed for the date of birth of youth corps members to be included on their certificates.
The issue of the age inscribed in the NYSC certificate will checkmate issue of corruption in terms of age declaration.
It's helped to prevent falsification of age.
Because already the people that are supposed to go on retirement, they are still on it.
Over time, people have seen the National Youth Service Corps scheme as a stopgap for employment, so they falsify their age. This has led to some youths participating in the scheme more than once.
Imagine the cost implication of somebody being mobilized twice, 3 times, and somebody with fake age coming on board the scheme. It's going to add additional burden in terms of funding to us, and that's why we are very serious about it.
The NYSC Director General also appealed to the National Examination Council, NECO, National Business and Technical Examination Board, NAPTEP, and other examination bodies to key into the initiative, like the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAMB, by inscribing the dates of birth on certificates. Olainka Ojo, NTA News.
And on a sad note, President Muhammadu Buhari has received with deep sadness notification on the passing away of the President of Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, Pengasan, Francis Johnson. The President joins Pengasan and all labor unions in the country in mourning the visionary leader whose good nature, understanding and forthrightness helped in improving the welfare of workers and contributed immensely to the stability witnessed in the oil sector. A statement by the Senior Special Assistant to the President, Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, said the President believes the Labour leader's demise is a collective loss to the family, Labour movement and the entire nation, urging all loved ones to find solace in the legacy of sacrifice, diligence and patriotism he left behind, especially in speaking up for the voiceless and underprivileged. And on to sports. Football enthusiasts tasked Flying Eagles to go beyond second round of FIFA Under-20 World Cup in Poland. Kene Ima-Apotike has details of this and more on Sports Updates.
Football enthusiasts have tasked Flying Eagles of Nigeria on focus as they go into the round of 16 of FIFA Under-20 World Cup in Poland. The Paul Ayebogo-coached team progressed as one of 3 best losers after a 1-1 draw against Ukraine on Thursday.
Not really approached games the way we like. They've not hit the ground running, and I think the coach needs to go back to the drawing board to ensure that the team plays well in their subsequent encounter.
In boxing, Anthony Joshua returns to the ring to defend his WBA, IBF and WBL heavyweight titles against Andy Ruiz Jr. at the Madison Square Garden on Saturday. Since beating Vladimir Klitschko, Joshua has defended against Carlos Takam, Joseph Parker and Alexander Povetskin, unifying the WBA, IBF and WBO heavyweight titles along the way to become one of boxing's biggest stars. Saturday's bout will be live on the NTA Sports 24 Channel 270 on StarTimes decoder via Kwese Free Sports. With sports update, Kenan Ima-Apotike, NTA News.
And that wraps up the news on NTA International. Thank you so much for being a part of it. I am Ruth Aguele.